Hey everybody, Greg here with Nihon Lounge, and I'm excited. This is my first video on Nihon Lounge where I'm going to be interviewing a special guest who also happens to be a good friend of mine. So we're going to talk all sorts of things Japan because, like me, he served as a Christian missionary in Japan and does some other cool stuff with his Japanese since he has returned a little bit before I was in Japan. So that's what we're going to talk about today on Nihon Lounge. All right, without any further ado, I'm going to bring on my good friend, Michael Law. How are you today, Michael?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm really looking forward to this.
Awesome. Yeah, I know we've talked about this for a few months and then work just kind of got away, at least for me. I don't know what it was like for you, but for me, work just kind of got nuts and we just never got around to talking. But I've known you for a number of years now, and I knew a long time ago some of the things that you did with Japanese, and I knew that you had also served in Japan as an LDS missionary. And so I kind of wanted to maybe start there because I don't know about you. My first foray into Japanese was actually in high school because I took it in high school and then eventually served as a missionary in Nagoya, Japan. But what about you? Was your mission the first time that you dealt with Japanese at all, or had you had any kind of experience before then?
Yeah, that's pretty much the first time. Interestingly, I started off with learning. I took German for a couple of years in high school.
Okay.
So I really wanted to, go to Germany, Austria, somewhere in there, and especially after the Berlin Wall came down, which was just right after. It's like, yeah, that's where I'd really like to go. Maybe get into East Berlin, or actually. I mean, that was kind of my way of thinking, but things don't necessarily go that way. And I guess they figured, oh, he can learn German, he can learn Japanese. So
not quite, a little bit more difficult to learn Japanese, I think. But you're wrong.
Totally different. And an interesting note on that, as I was working to hopefully get into a PhD program, one of the requirements is you would have to study the writings of whatever philosopher it was in their own language. And I'm like, well, I've already had a couple of years in German. I'm just going to go with that because that was one of the options, was German, French, Italian, and I think that was mostly it, and of course English. I actually took a semester of German after, and it was even not that long ago. And it was I was picking it up definitely German faster than what I did when I was in high school, because high school was kind of like, it's one of those things you have to take. But the fun part was when I once in a while would be into my foreign language mindset, where Japanese, the worst case was when Japanese, German, and English were all mixed in.
Yeah.
It said I was supposed to say something like 648, and it started off in Japanese, then went to German, and then ended in English. Like, what the heck was that?
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
I mean, as you know, once you really get into a language, that you eventually start learning or thinking in that language. Mm-hmm. I was in that mindset, and Japanese has just become natural as well, and so it's all the same.
Yeah,
I knew what I was saying.
Yeah. No, to your point, I think it is. I mean, I've only ever really studied Japanese. I think I took maybe Spanish as well for one thing in high school or something. I can't remember, or maybe it was in junior high. But yeah, I mean, languages, I think by and large, it's kind of the same. Now, some are more difficult depending on, Japanese is obviously completely backwards from what Spanish would be for trying to learn Spanish versus Japanese or something. But usually once you immerse yourself, to your point, you just kind of get everything just starts kind of coming into your head in that language at that point. So
yeah, and I don't know how long it took you, but it was probably close to 6 months before you start having dreams in that language.
Yeah.
And that was the weirdest. So my dream was when I started dreaming in Japanese. I was the only one speaking Japanese, and all the other missionaries and other people around me, including Japanese people that I knew, were all speaking in English. Like, what the heck is going on here? But yeah. It was weird.
You were in the zone. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you remember at all? I honestly couldn't see. I had already studied Japanese, so this is going to be a little bit different for me than it was for you. But when you got to, so for those that are watching, that there's a missionary training center. So you go to, I went to Utah, went to this training center, and I was there for way too long. But because it was the language, so you're there forever. Do you remember, your first little while in the MTC going, oh my gosh, like this is going to be super hard? Or because you'd studied German, you're just kind of like, I know how to learn a language. This one might be harder, but I got it.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. I was learning. I had learned another language, so it was like, I just had that mindset of, I can learn this one. But like you said, it's totally different. I mean, even German has a lot of similarities to English, so both in sentence structure and even a lot of the words are somewhat similar enough that you could go, oh yeah, that's that in English and figure that out, but not in Japanese. It's completely different, including the sentence structure. In fact, to give you an idea, and maybe it's something we'll touch on a little bit later, in my line of work, it is one of the few languages that the World the World International Patent Office still requires, with almost 100% of the time, human translation of the language, whereas they can use AI, or what they call a neural machine translation, for other languages, because the structure is different. I mean, even Chinese and other East Asian languages don't have the same problem as Japanese. Japanese is the only one that, at least that we're aware of still, and we had a meeting like a year ago with the International Patent Office. They're the only ones that still require a human translation, because it is so different from any other language that the machines can't handle it, that even the AI can't handle it.
Even AI
gives you an idea.
Yeah. That's okay. Wow. I definitely want to come back on that here in a little bit. But I had no idea. I don't know that you'd ever told me that either. So that's kind of fascinating. But wow. Okay. That interesting. And don't let that discourage you. For all of you who want to learn, Japanese is a lovely language and fantastic. But
and I always tell people. I always tell people, as far as pronunciation, it is one of the easier languages to learn.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's
so phonetic.
Correct. Yeah, like every letter is literally pronounced one way, and that's it. With a little bit of exception when you're talking about like des, right? you can still say desu, but it's not super common. So there's very few exceptions to that. Though this letter is pronounced this way, and that's it. So phonetically, like you said. Fantastic. So you and I both served in Nagoya. Now, the mission, your mission may have looked different, because when I was in Nagoya, it also included Osaka. Was that same for you or not?
No, it was not.
It was
Osaka was its own separate mission.
Yeah. Okay.
So ours kind of went from Miyaken. That's kind of south of Nagoya City, which included a wonderful place. My first area was actually Ise.
Okay.
Ise-shi, which is one of the cities where some of the artifacts, important artifacts, Buddhist artifacts and Shinto and whatnot, are there. I mean, it is an incredible little town, and boy, and I was there. I got there in December of 1990, just before Oshogatsu, and Issei during Oshogatsu is just packed. It's like where I live here in Kuna, a town probably a little bit bigger than that, but suddenly you have the whole of Ada County. You have hundreds of thousands of people coming to that one little town over New Year's, because it's like it is just one of those places that people just almost like a what do they call it? It's just one of those places that people just have to go visit.
Tourist attraction.
Yeah, especially at that time of the year. So,
right,
we kind of got crazy over that. But the great part about it was during that time also is they got all the matsuris, the not parades, but the festivals and everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, you tried everything food wise. I got thrown into everything within the first couple of weeks, or a month of being there. It's like, I pretty much tried almost everything they had because of that.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
Yeah. What was your recollection of, just being, you learn about the language, you learn about the culture and the MTC a little bit and that kind of stuff, and maybe some of the mannerisms and that kind of stuff. But that at least going to Japan was my first time going to a foreign country. I'd never been to a foreign country before. And so, it was already culture shock, but then it was just, holy cow. Like, I don't know anything. I don't know any Japanese compared to what I thought I knew in the MTC.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And then you're just going, oh my goodness. But the one thing I think that at least I assume it was the same for you. It was for me. And I still hear missionaries talk about the same thing, is just how polite people were. I remember going, oh my gosh, this is weird. Like, there's just, and especially with, Gaikokujin, there's just this, like, oh, you're from America. Hello, how are you? It's almost even more polite. Not that we deserve it. That's how it was. So I don't know.
And not just the politeness that way, but politeness with regards to language abilities. Mm-hmm. They were just incredibly understanding and patient and willing to let you try. As terrible as your Japanese might have been, willing to let you try. And like, oh, well, maybe a little bit like this. Oh, okay. And help you out, and not in a critical fashion, but just like genuinely trying to help and patient with you. And I think it's not just because of Americans, because I know that, because I had, from experience, I had one companion who was 100% Japanese, though born actually here in Idaho. And raised here in Idaho, and had to learn Japanese himself. I don't know why his parents never talked Japanese in his house, but people would automatically turn to him to talk to him, and he's like, I don't know what they're saying.
That's
and I was like a year and a couple of months out at that time, and so he was like, I don't know what they're saying, but even then, extremely patient, even though that he looked Japanese and his name was Japanese, and but he didn't know the language, and they were still incredibly patient with him.
Yeah. I just, man, the culture of, and just, it's just so much different, and how they respect their elders and everything. I do remember very vividly, jumping forward here a little bit, but when I came home, I went through customs in San Francisco. And I remember being just, in even my first couple days back in the U.S., and just how rude everybody was comparatively compared to what I had just left. I was like, what hell am I in right now? Like, where am I? Just because it's so night and day going either direction. So
yeah, and and the same thing with not just the people themselves, but it's like, get home, it's like, when did our streets get so wide? When did we have so much space between buildings? And that itself was a shocker. It's like, whoa, there's a lot of room here.
Yeah. It's funny, people often ask, like, why can't you go to Japan, and I'm sure I mean, I rode my bike quite a bit, but I also rode the train a ton. I think I rode the bus a couple times. It wasn't very often. But, everybody's like, well, why can't you just ride trains in America? I'm like, have you seen America? Have you been to America? There's no way to replicate what is in Japan in America. Like, it's not possible, because you can just take the train anywhere in Japan. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I did love riding the trains. The trains were great to ride, but of course the best, I don't know if you ever got a chance to ride one, was the Shinkansen, the bullet train. Those are amazing.
Yeah, only from when I landed in Tokyo, going down to Nagoya. That was it. That was my one time on the Shinkansen. So, but it was incredible to go that fast. A little bit scary, you're like, well, if this thing derails, we are all dead.
I'm dead.
But it's freaking cool.
But they've never had an accident with their bullet trains, which is amazing. Yeah.
What was your? Okay, so I hate seafood. Like, I still don't. I'm not a huge fan, and I'll fully admit that Japanese seafood, the quality and everything was way better than what you get in Idaho. Okay?
Oh yeah.
But people are like, I'm gonna go eat some sushi. I'm like, look, I don't really like sushi, but I'm not gonna go eat sushi in Idaho. That's from the local convenience store. that's not a thing. After living in Japan and eating like real quality sushi, that a lot of it did taste good, but compared to there. But I loved rice. I got hooked on rice when I was in Japan, and then I got hooked on like yakisoba type stuff. That's my type of dish versus maybe takoyaki or something like that. But
that was actually the first, if you want to call it a strange or different food that we wouldn't have normally wouldn't have in America, is takoyaki. That was my first quote unquote strange food that I had, and that was because of the festivals. They always have it, and good takoyaki, it has to be good, otherwise it's like I can't do it.
I don't know that I'd. Yeah, I mean, I ate it, and it's not just straight up octopus. So just like plain octopus. I don't know that I could do that with the texture and stuff. But it actually wasn't terrible. The one thing I could never get used to, and I only tried a couple times, and it almost made me throw up, was natto. I just there were some of the missionaries that could eat that stuff, and I just nope.
That definitely is a love-hate food. You either love it or you hate it. I'm not one that I couldn't stand it either. Just it smells like whoa. But on the other hand, my youngest Kenji, he served in Tokyo, and he loves the stuff. He loves that natto. It's like, okay, are you sure, my kid? But
yeah, that's funny. I always called it cow snot. I'm like, this looks like what cow snot would look like. Just the look, the texture, the smell. Oh man, I'm starting to know.
Yeah. I'm with you. The yakisoba, excellent. Not mentioned. We haven't mentioned yet, but my wife is Japanese, and the top food in our family is her gyoza.
Okay.
She makes by far the best. In fact, we actually had some last night. Going to be having some tonight. She usually makes it huge batches, so it's usually a couple of days, several days of it. And I always tell people it is the best. And when I was at one time for a couple of years, I was actually a tour guide in Florida, strictly Japanese.
Okay.
And did that for a couple of years. That was fun and interesting. Had to learn a lot of new vocabulary because it's not a missionary or gospel type vocabulary that that was being used, especially when we're talking about at the time space shuttles, because we'd have tours for space shuttle launches or just out to the Kennedy Space Center because they have tourist attraction out there. And so I had to learn a lot of vocabulary there. But while I forgot where I was going with that. While there, the language boost was a lot. But
Is that
some of the other tour guides were also Japanese because they had a mixture of American and Japanese tour guides, and we had one tour that included a restaurant that was also serving gyoza, and it was actually pretty good. And they were like, "Yeah, this is the greatest. This is the best." I'm like, "No, it's not. No, it's not." And one of them was like, told me to at one after me saying, "No, my wife says." He's like, he slapped down like $50 and says, "You're going to have to prove it now." Here, prove it. I'm like, okay. So we took it into them, and they're like, "Yeah, this is better." Like, I tried to tell you.
Wow, that's so. So you knew your wife before you were a tour guide. Where did you meet her?
Actually, in Japan, while on mission. We started communicating after I got home, and then she came to visit, and I just kind of went from there.
Okay, wow, that's crazy. And so, when she came back to America, did you guys speak Japanese exclusively the whole time, or did she speak English? Well, when she lived in Japan, or did you have to teach her English, or how did that work?
Yeah, so as you probably know, they do have to learn English in junior high school. Mm-hmm. But it's not very spoken or anything. It's mostly just writing and learning it that way. They don't do a whole lot of speaking.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot. So we started off with mostly Japanese, and gradually become much more of a mix.
Yeah.
Including Japanese and English all in the same sentence, just whatever works better. Because some things you say are just easier in Japanese than in English.
Yeah.
Vice versa. So, it tends to be quite mixed sometimes.
What do they call it? Japanglish or something? I think is what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, like, there was that whole movie with Adam Sandler, was it Spanglish or whatever? It's like that, in just Japanese.
Yeah.
Total mix.
That's funny. Have you guys been back to Japan since you and your wife got married and
we were back after I got home and after we had been married probably about 7 years. Had all three of our kids. The youngest was, he had to have been about 2. With the oldest 5 when we went back there, and of course most of that was family, and we actually took a whole month. I took a month off of work and went there. Actually, I had known that it was going to be quitting the tour guide job and moving back to Idaho because things, at 97 or actually 99 or so, the Japanese economy was struggling more than ours. So that and the dollar difference at that time was enough that it was slowing down a lot. It was like it's getting harder because a lot of my income, or some of my income, was based on sales, based on selling extra tours and things like that, and it just wasn't happening because they didn't have the money, and fewer people coming, so even less. So it's just like it's time to go home.
Yeah,
knowing we were going to be doing that, and so I took a month off and we stayed there it was almost a month, but pretty close.
Did you go back to where her family was, or did you guys just go travel all over?
Went back and stayed with her family, and they got to play with grandkids, and we got and actually meet, because I hadn't actually met any of her nephews or niece or any of that. So yeah, that was it was a good experience and a lot of time there, and it was pretty good. It was only a couple of years after that that her mom had an aneurysm, and
Oh,
kind of went. Her dad had passed away before we even met.
okay.
So I never got to meet him, but and I don't know that I don't think I'd met her sister, but yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. I mean, your oldest obviously speaks Japanese. Did you teach your other two kids Japanese? Did they pick up on it, or?
Oh yeah, and the fun part, kind of the fun part there was, it was a little bit before we went to Japan, like because we'd always call on Mother's Day and Christmas and New Year's and stuff like that. When they were 4 or 5 years old, it was interesting to see how they could distinguish, oh, this is my grandma in Japan, so they stuck with Japanese only. And then they call grandma here in Idaho, and then they stuck with English only. It's like, when the heck did that happen? But that's kind of the benefit of being in a bilingual house, is
Sure.
they will learn. They just naturally pick it up.
Yeah.
Eventually, and it was crazy because we didn't know they could distinguish it, but they knew the difference.
Wow. But now, were you actively teaching them, or were they just picking it up from listening to both of you?
So they were at the point they're just actively picking it up. Just
Okay.
yeah. Really, not until about close to kindergarten age did we really start actively teaching. But
Okay. Wow, that's crazy. Do you have any particular favorite memory going back to Japan, being there as a missionary? Was there anything in particular, any particular memory that sticks out as like, this was my favorite thing to do, or this was my favorite day because we got to go do X, Y, and Z? Or
well, some of that is always going to be on what they call P days, the prep days, where it's a little bit almost a day off, but
yeah,
not entirely.
Not really.
But
yeah,
go visit places. I guess one of them, in one of my first areas, was visiting Ueno.
Okay.
Called Ueno, where the famous Ueno ninja
yeah,
came over. I think I would see the ninja yashiki, the ninja houses, the castle in Ueno, and that was pretty fun. Of course, Nagoya, famous for Oda Nobunaga, and that's where he was stationed. So there, I also served up north towards Toyama, Kanazawa. Kanazawa's a little bit more well known. Toyama was interesting because that was an area that, of course, in World War II we had bombed pretty heavily, and when the soldiers came in and were helping to rebuild that town, it was weird. They built the streets U.S. size. So it's like, that was almost a culture shock just going to Toyama. I was like, whoa, these streets are wide.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. Probably another one would be, we had a gentleman that just loved the Americans, loved talking to us, and always wanting to buy us lunch or whatever. He took us a couple of times to a restaurant that served Matsuzaka Gyu. And everybody knows Kobe. But Matsuzaka, in my opinion, Matsuzaka beef is like a little step up, but it is a step up, in my opinion, of Kobe beef.
Interesting.
And it was at the time running like it'll probably be equivalent of $125 a pound.
Wow.
But he got it for us, and he had money, and he just liked the Americans and liked to take us out here and there, and that was one that I mean, talk about cutting it with a spoon and then literally melting in your mouth. It's like,
yeah. I never had Matsuzaka beef, but we did have one time, and again, it wasn't even a member of our faith. It was somebody that was just liked the missionaries and liked hanging out with the missionaries, and it did a Kobe beef dinner, and it was dang good. Like, I ain't gonna lie. So now I'm gonna have to go and go get some of the other stuff and try it out and compare it. So
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Speaking of, before we started this, we were both talking. It was interesting. You had mentioned the war, World War II, but it was interesting because you were in Iraq. You were in Japan when the first Iraq war started, and I was in Japan in the same mission, separate times here when the most recent Iraq war happened, which anyway, I thought that was kind of fascinating. So,
and that was as close to any kind of rudeness that ever had to deal with, because there were some that just did not like it at all, and they were vocal about it. A couple of people that we had run across, but they were still nice about how in a kind of a rude way of how they didn't like the war.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, they were still politely rude. It's the best way to describe it.
Did you have, so maybe
respectfully rude, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious if you had this too. So when the Iraq war started in March, the OIF, I remember it vividly because, as missionaries weren't allowed to watch TV, and you'd be walking down the street and some store would have like a TV and announcing that the war had started. And that was how I found out. Plus, and all of a sudden there was just newspapers, and I actually still have some paraphernalia, I guess you would call it that, of Iraq war stuff in Japanese, which I had kept. But what was interesting is there was these vehicles that would drive around, and you can't do this in America, but they would it would be from like the Communist Party of Japan or something. I don't remember the political parties or what they were, but they would have literal megaphones on top of these vehicles just at night, driving through the streets, talking about how much they hated the war stuff. And I just thought, man, this is so weird. Just because you can't do that in the U.S., roaming through neighborhoods without somebody calling the cops on you. But anyway, so I don't know if that happened, years and years before with you. But
I don't remember that. I do remember around voting time that there were constant vehicles roaming around, blaring with the bullhorn and everything. Their political campaign: vote for so and so, vote for so and so. He's for this or that, or it's like. Well, that's different.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I just thought it was fascinating that we were both in the same mission, different wars, but we were both there during when those wars started. So it was kind of interesting. So, so headed, coming back to the States, and I wanted to go back on your work thing because I've. That last part you had mentioned was kind of fascinating. How did you first get started into translating for? Oh my gosh, my brain just totally left me on the. Well, I assume you work for a company, but it's for the International Patent Office, or whatever you called it. How did you get started doing that?
Well, with the World International Patent Office, that's actually just a contract that our company has. We're actually one of only 5 or 6, I think, that have a larger contract with the World International Patent Office. When I first started, we actually weren't doing anything with them yet, but we had a salesperson in Japan who would contact various patent lawyer offices and offer our translation services, and that was mostly where we were getting our business, was from translation of translation of patents. Not exclusive to that. I mean, we could translate just about anything, but our company started off as just being highly technical. We want to be highly technical in the translations, and it's actually kind of interesting. There are some that do really well in Japanese, especially verbally, that and even could do okay on written, which is mostly what ours is written. We don't do actually verbal interpretation. It's all translation of written word, both directions, English and Japanese. I actually go over the Far East language department, so it could be Korean too, but I would say 99% of what we're doing is Japanese. So I got started because somebody I'd actually just lost a job while I was going to school, and a friend says, "Hey, this guy's looking for somebody who knows Japanese, not really translating, but just, are you interested?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd be interested." Had to translate a small document from Japanese into English. It actually took a lot of work because it was written, and I was used to more verbal as opposed to written. But did well enough that they're like, "Yeah, he has management skills," because I've been managers in like Domino's Pizza and other places, and even for a courier company. And they're like, "Yeah, we could use the management skills." That was mostly what they were interested in, not so much the Japanese, but it was helpful. And so they were expanding, and part of it was because of the expansion with what we call WIPO. It's just easier to say than World International Patent Office over and over, so we just say WIPO. It actually shows up on their document too, WIPO, WIPO. So they were getting ready to expand that, so they just needed more help in doing that. And so came on board, and eventually the person that I ended up replacing, he was planning on resigning himself. He wanted to get out and do something else. And so I basically was training to replace him. And actually I had to have somebody else do part of what I had started off doing, so it was still two project managers at the same time. Anyway, with that, it's all you can be really good with Japanese, even written, but not necessarily technical enough to be able to pass our standards, because our standards are basically WIPO standards. And as you know, patents, well, maybe you don't know, but patents are actual legal documents. Mm-hmm. They're usually written up by, between the inventor, because it's patents, between the inventor and a lawyer, so that they can legally show how it's different than any other patent, because if it's the same, obviously you're not going to get a patent. So it's really important for that. So you have to have some kind of legal terminology, and all patent offices, they require certain legal terminology, ways that we don't even say in talking or even writing. It's like, that's kind of different. I mean, we understand it if we read it. We're like, nobody talks that way, nobody writes that way, but patent offices, they want it that way. So you have to know that kind of language.
Wow.
So you have to be not only pretty good with the language, especially written, but then you have to be exceptionally good. And it becomes harder and harder with time to find those that are that good. And we do find some that are like, we can work with that and work them into that person being good enough to handle what we do. But it usually takes several months of training, even if they know it really well. So I think you have mentioned in other videos that you're working on your, was it NPT?
Like the JLPT. Yeah, just
Yeah, those kind of things. We can find ones that are as high as they can go on that, and they still fail.
Yeah.
Fail our tests.
Yeah.
So I mean, not to discourage anybody, because those are, I mean, if you are that high in those tests, you're really good.
Yeah.
But ours is just like a step up. It's so highly technical.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't get discouraged if you're learning. Like, if you're listening to Michael, it's like, all right, if I want to do the most insane type of translation at the highest level ever, then you got to go do what Michael does. But if you're learning hiragana, you got this. All right, a couple days, and you're good to go. So
yeah. That, and definitely, and I think you mentioned in other video that hiragana and katakana are extremely important.
Oh yeah,
they are, because I mean, Japanese uses it in all their languages anyway, or in all their sentences anyway. You almost always find it's not just straight kanji. There's a mix of the kanji and the hiragana and katakana.
Yeah.
And to give you an idea, even with the katakana, when we're working with chemical, when there's a patent that has to deal with chemical or DNA or things like that, it's a lot of katakana.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because they take the names of whatever chemical it is and just turn it into katakana.
Right.
And
yeah,
like I guess a good example would be like baseball. You can say baseball, which is right, katakana, or you can say yaku, which is actually the kanji for the same term.
Yeah.
But they don't do that with the chemicals. They just go straight katakana, and they don't.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
I was always fascinated, by the way, let me bring that up, how sometimes there's words in Japanese that are in katakana, and you're like, you don't have a word for table? Like just teberu? Like, wait, what? And then but you do have a word for like sock, kutsushita, and you're going, how are there's some things that you're just going, how's there no word or real good translation? But then you have a translation for something that you would think there is not a word for in Japanese. Yep. Like, it's so fascinating to me.
Well, on my side, I don't actually do any of the translation. I just manage the projects, but it does come in handy. And actually, over the last year or two, as we've learned that AI and what they call neural machine translation, which is in a way still human translation, just learned from the human translations, what these words are, what these sentence structures are, and it learns that okay, if it's a totally different sentence, this word should mean this, and this should mean this, and then it can plug it in. We use several different kind of tools. The WIPO likes to use their neural machine translation, which they have millions and millions and millions of sentences that have been translated by humans from Japanese into English, and it's still pretty bad. And I can usually tell because I have to usually go in, and I don't actually proofread. I'm just doing what they call a number proof, making sure that all the items, because in patents they usually have an item number for a part number, that kind of thing. And so I can see that none of that is missed, but in doing that, you also see what the machine shows as mostly translated or completely translated by machine or partially translated by the machine.
Okay.
What has been, and they have different color codes. If it's totally green, for example, in a sentence, then because they break it up sentence by sentence. If it's totally green, then we know that was 100% human. That our translator looked at it and goes, "That's crap," and tossed it and translated it. So and there's actually a lot of that still, and I see hundreds every single month, and there's still a lot of green, which means it's all still human translation because the neural machine translation doesn't work as well as as well as they still pay as well as they wish.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. That's where it's going for a lot of people traveling, at least, is using Google Translate and those types of machines. And
So I can tell you from my experience with that is Google Translate is a big no-no in our industry. Huge no-no.
That's funny.
Total dummy. Nope. Can't use it because it'll work well with colloquial, like if you're just having a conversation, it'll do okay. But when you get into technical stuff, it's like, nope, doesn't work. Gets the sentence order, the order wrong. Especially with patents, those could be really long sentences, and short sentences are bad enough.
Jeez,
it could be bad enough, but patents, I think that's part of the problem is Japanese likes to use, their patent office likes to use long sentences.
Okay. So the translation, what you're saying is it comes out like those T-shirts you would see in Japan in English that you're like, wait, what does that say? I really, and I'll probably be able to find some if I go visit Japan next year, which I'm hoping to do. But I really should have bought a couple of those shirts and sent them home, just so the people here would be like, "What is that saying?" I'm like, well, it makes total sense.
Saw plenty of that on vending machines and other places where they're trying to use English. Like, what?
Yeah, even in subtitled stuff that I'll watch sometime to listen to what they're saying, and I'll read the subtitle and be like, it's not quite what I would say in English for what he just said, but so yeah.
It's like, you get it, but it's not quite how I would translate it.
Yeah, it sounds totally robotic or some really awkward,
That can be. And I can tell you how hard that can be, because we have translators that translate it too literal. And when it goes to a patent office, it needs to be more natural sounding in English. So even though you're translating from Japanese, and yes, that may be a correct translation, if it doesn't sound natural, then it's like you need to change something there. And translators have a little bit harder time with that.
Gotcha. Now
that's not how we would say that in English.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd love to have you on again. I think it was just wanted to have a good friend on to do a first video for a guest, and obviously I'd love to, have you and your wife or your wife on sometime to just talk about various things from Japan and anything we can do to educate people or talk about the culture and anybody that's interested in it all. And man, it'd be fun.
He could certainly grill you on and in Japanese.
Yeah. I want some gyoza now. That's all I can think about is like Michael told me I need gyoza from his wife. So I'm gonna have to take a trip up to Boise area and come get some gyoza.
Yeah, the whole family, usually not necessarily me because I'm usually working, but the whole family gets involved in making it. So,
dang,
like 100 or more each time, and that lasts us for several days that we're enjoying it.
Okay.
She does all kinds of things.
Okay. Well, I've sold, man. Sold. Absolutely. She can even teach my wife how to make some good gyoza, and that way I can partake anytime.
What did you think of I'm just suddenly drawing a blank. Takoyaki. Takoyaki soba.
Like okonomiyaki?
Yeah, okonomiyaki.
Yeah, that was a little bit more acquired for me. Like when I first tried it, I was like, "Whoa, this is a little bit weird." The sauce, like everything, and by the time I left, I loved it. Like I never got used to sushi other than a little bit of it, but okonomiyaki, it was acquired a little bit, but I do like it now.
Yeah, had that for lunch yesterday. She made some the one The one thing that we have learned is that even with the homemade is I don't know if you remember you got the okonomi sauce, but you also use mayonnaise.
Yeah.
If and when you do, we at least for our taste anyway, it has to be that Kewpie mayonnaise.
Okay. It
has to be Kewpie. It just adds the right flavor that our mayonnaise, but no matter what kind of brand of mayonnaise it is, just doesn't quite cut. For some reason, it just doesn't.
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty much what we use Kewpie for. Not for much of anything else that we use. If we use mayonnaise on sandwiches or something, and then it's still American mayonnaise, but that one's just got to be Kewpie.
Okay. Man, I haven't had that since I might have had it in San Francisco when I went and visited there a long time ago. That was still like 15 years ago or something. So, but I don't know. All I heard was trip to Michael's house for some good Japanese. Tell your wife, Greg San is coming.
We'll have to do that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. That'll be awesome. Okay. All right, brother. Well, I know you got to head. I got to get heading out here shortly too, go pick up a kid, but I appreciate you coming on. And yeah, dude, I think it's been fun. I think we should do this more often and just help people learn whatever they can about Japanese or Japanese culture or whatever it is. So.
Yeah, and more than welcome to do a little bit of language because just kind of the last thing I'll say is I was 2 years ago now, but finally got to meet because that's how we do things. We're all working at home and remotely doing that long before COVID made it cool. But I finally got to meet my boss a couple of years ago in person, and he knows Japanese. He's kind of our final guy to go to.
Okay.
But there are things culturally or verbally that he just didn't know, and so we had a lot of fun learning about that. I mean, simple proverbs or ways that they say things like I don't know, like oseiji, brown nosing. He did not know that.
Yeah,
it doesn't come up in patents or anything like that. So
right.
Taught him little things like that, and those are always fun too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, that'd be fun. We could do an entire segment on fun slang stuff or Osaka Ben or something. I learned a little bit of Osaka Ben. I don't remember it anymore, but I did learn a little bit of Osaka Ben.
Well, I know it fairly well because that's mostly because my wife is from Yokkaichi, which is it's Miyaken, but it's her mom and dad from actually not her dad from Osaka area, so that's what they spoke. So
that's crazy. Awesome. All right, man. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate it. Anything else to add before we sign off?
No. It's been great. Been fun.
All right. Well, yeah. Again, thanks for taking time out of your day. I know you're busy, and I'm glad we finally got to do this. So.
Yep, we'll do it again.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe and do all that good, fun stuff. Until next time, this is Greg with Nihon Lounge.